Today, I want to talk about how to speak English fluently. Have you ever found yourself struggling when trying to speak English? That moment when your mind goes blank, even though you've studied for years, the feeling of frustration as words you know perfectly well suddenly disappear when you need them most. What if I told you that speaking fluent English isn't about memorizing more grammar rules or vocabulary lists? What if the traditional methods you've been taught are actually making it harder for you to speak confidently? The truth is, you already have everything you need to speak English confidently. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how to unlock that ability, the same method that transformed my own language journey. I've discovered that the biggest obstacle isn't your knowledge, it's how you've been taught to approach learning. In the next couple of minutes, I'm going to reveal a completely different approach that will transform not just how you speak English, but also how you feel about speaking it. I see students who understand English perfectly when reading or listening, but the moment they need to speak, they freeze. They hesitate. They get stuck searching for the perfect word or grammar structure. Their knowledge seems to evaporate under pressure. If this sounds familiar, I want you to know, this isn't your fault. Traditional language education has failed you. It has trained you to fear mistakes instead of embracing them as essential stepping stones to fluency. It has taught you to memorize rather than internalize, and it has made you believe that perfection is the goal when, in reality, communication is what truly matters. Think about how you learned your first language. Did you study grammar books as a baby? Did you memorize vocabulary lists? No. You listened, you imitated, you made countless mistakes, and most importantly, you weren't afraid. You were curious, playful, and completely immersed in the language around you. This natural learning ability hasn't disappeared. It's still within you, waiting to be reawakened. Today, we're going to tap into that innate capacity and apply it to English in a way that feels natural, enjoyable, and remarkably effective. Before we dive in, I want you to take a deep breath and let go of any past frustrations with English. Today marks the beginning of a completely different approach, one aligned with how your brain naturally acquires language. The first barrier between you and English fluency isn't linguistic, it's psychological. The beliefs you hold about language learning directly impact your ability to progress. When you believe English is difficult, your brain creates resistance. It activates your stress response, releasing cortisol that actually inhibits the memory formation needed for language learning. This stress narrows your focus and shuts down the very parts of your mind that learn language naturally. Let's replace those limiting beliefs with empowering ones that align with how languages are truly acquired. Right now, I want you to say these words out loud with me. English is accessible to me. I learn through my mistakes. I improve every day. My imperfect English is valuable and worth sharing. Fluency comes through practice, not perfection. Now, let's also consciously eliminate the negative phrases from our vocabulary. Phrases like, my English is bad. I can't speak English. English is too difficult. I must be perfect to be understood. Each time you catch yourself thinking any of these, gently replace them with our new empowering phrases. A baby learning to walk falls hundreds of times before taking their first confident steps. Each fall isn't a failure, it's feedback. That feedback helps the brain adjust, recalibrate, and improve. Your English mistakes are exactly the same, not failures, but feedback guiding you toward fluency. Many English learners transform their speaking abilities in weeks simply by changing this one belief. Remember, the way you speak to yourself about your language journey directly impacts how quickly you progress. Choose empowering thoughts, celebrate small victories, and view every mistake as valuable feedback. Many students believe they need to move abroad to achieve fluency. While that certainly helps, it's not necessary. Let me show you how to create a powerful English environment right where you are. Start by changing your phone's language to English. This single change creates dozens of micro-learning moments throughout your day. Your phone's notifications, apps, and settings menus become opportunities to learn English. Next, adjust your social media feeds to include English content. Follow accounts that match your interests: cooking, sports, technology, whatever excites you, but in English. This way, you're not just studying English, you're living it through topics you truly care about. The next level of immersion happens in your mind. Start with the simplest thoughts. When you wake up, I'm awake now. The sun is shining. When eating, this food is delicious. I taste garlic and herbs. When walking, the sky is blue today. That cloud looks like a rabbit. At first, this will feel forced and unnatural. That's completely normal. Keep practicing, and within weeks, these English thoughts will begin flowing more naturally. This technique is powerful yet simple. Spend 5 minutes each day talking to yourself in English about anything: your plans, your feelings, what you see around you. Find a private space where you won't feel self-conscious. Stand in front of a mirror and simply narrate your thoughts. Today, I need to finish my report. Then I'll meet Lucy for coffee. I'm feeling a bit tired, but excited about our meeting. This builds the neural pathways that enable fluent speech without the pressure of conversation. Place English labels on objects around your home. Each time you see or use an object, say its name or a simple sentence about it. This is a cup. I'm drinking water. I'm opening the door. I'm sitting on the chair. Remember, immersion isn't about relocating your life. It's about relocating your attention. By surrounding yourself with English in these simple ways, you create countless micro-learning moments throughout your day. For many, grammar has become a set of rigid rules that stifle creativity and natural expression. Instead of letting grammar anxiety hold you back, we need to embrace a more natural approach to learning. Think about a child learning their first language. They don't study the present continuous tense. They simply hear, I am eating my lunch. She is running in the park. They're playing football. After hearing these patterns repeatedly, the brain naturally absorbs the structure. The rules aren't memorized, they're internalized through exposure and repetition. Instead of memorizing isolated rules, collect useful phrases and sentences. I'd like to. I've been meaning to. I'm not sure about. The thing is, when you learn language in chunks rather than as isolated rules, your speech becomes more natural and fluent automatically. You're not constructing sentences word by word. You're deploying pre-assembled language units. For example, instead of studying conditional tenses, learn these practical phrases. If he was here, he would. Unless we act fast. Practice using these phrases in different contexts. If he was here, he would try the chocolate cake. If he was here, he would try that new restaurant. Over time, your brain will naturally extract the patterns and apply them to new situations without you ever having to consciously recall the grammar. This doesn't mean grammar isn't important. It absolutely is. But the approach matters. Learn grammar through phrases and patterns, not through abstract rules. This mirrors how you learned your first language and accelerates your progress significantly. Let's transform ordinary moments into English practice opportunities. By incorporating English into your existing routines, you'll accumulate hours of practice without adding extra tasks to your schedule. Instead of silent preparation, narrate your actions. It's 5:30 in the morning. I'm feeling a bit tired, but ready for the day. I'm getting out of bed now. I will go to the office today. This simple practice accomplishes two things. It builds vocabulary relevant to your daily life and develops fluency in describing sequential actions, a fundamental speaking skill. Even if your family doesn't speak English, you can still practice. Begin your day with a simple greeting. Good morning. Did you sleep well? Yes, I had a good night. What's for breakfast? I'm making eggs. Would you like some? Yes, please. They smell delicious. Here you are. Enjoy your meal. Thank you. This tastes great. If you live alone, practice these dialogues as both speakers, changing your voice or position slightly for each role. This builds conversational fluency, the ability to respond naturally without rehearsing. Visualize yourself in a market. Practice phrases like, "Excuse me, do you have any fresh tomatoes? How much is this per kilo? That's a bit expensive. Do you have anything cheaper? I'll take 2 kilos, please. Do you have change for a 20? Thank you. Have a nice day." Next time you go shopping, challenge yourself to use at least 3 English phrases, even if the other person doesn't understand. This builds confidence in real-world application. At a cafe, when meeting a friend, start with casual conversation. Hi, how are you today? Would you like to order coffee? Even if you switch back to your native language, try to insert a few English sentences. Over time, this will build your conversational skills. Practice these dialogues with a language partner or record yourself playing both roles. Focus on the natural flow of conversation rather than perfect grammar. End your day with an English reflection. Today was interesting because I learned something new at work. The most challenging part of my day was the meeting with new clients. Tomorrow, I plan to finish my report and go for a run. I'm feeling proud of myself for practicing English today. I learned several new words today. This evening practice reinforces vocabulary and helps your brain process the day's experiences in English, strengthening neural connections. Remember, the goal isn't to spend hours studying English as a separate activity. It's to weave English naturally into your existing routines until it becomes as automatic as your native language. Let's talk about pronunciation and confidence. Many learners worry about their accent or fear that they must sound like a native speaker. The truth is, clear communication is more important than perfection. Listen and imitate. Start by choosing a short audio clip, perhaps a few seconds from your favorite English song, podcast, or movie. Listen carefully to the rhythm, intonation, and stress patterns of the speaker. Then, repeat the clip exactly, paying attention to every detail. Record yourself if possible and compare your speech with the original. Focus on the natural flow rather than trying to erase your accent. Remember, your accent is part of who you are and adds a unique charm to your speech. Apply this technique with short clips from movies, podcasts, or songs. Just 5 minutes daily will dramatically improve your pronunciation and natural rhythm. The 3-second rule. When you're asked a question, give yourself a brief pause, about 3 seconds, before you respond. This short moment allows your brain to gather your thoughts and start speaking without overthinking. For example, if someone asks, "What did you do today?" use those 3 seconds to let your ideas form, and then say, "I went for a walk and had a cup of coffee." This exercise trains your brain to trust your immediate thoughts and builds confidence in your ability to communicate spontaneously. Practice speaking aloud. Find a quiet space where you feel comfortable and practice speaking aloud about various topics. It might be a simple description of what you see around you or narrating a story from your day. The more you practice, the more natural your speech will become. Recovery phrases. It's okay if you stumble or get stuck. Prepare a few recovery phrases you can use to keep the conversation flowing. For instance, "What I mean is," let me rephrase that. In other words, these phrases give you time to collect your thoughts without feeling embarrassed. Remember, confident speakers aren't perfect speakers. They are effective communicators who don't let imperfections stop them from expressing their thoughts. True fluency is not just about speaking. It's about thinking directly in English. Many learners struggle because they first formulate their thoughts in their native language and then translate, which slows down conversation and creates hesitation. Eliminate the translation step. Train your brain to think in English. Start with simple exercises. Look around you and name objects in English without pausing to translate. Then describe them with simple adjectives. The cup is blue. It's half full. It's on the table. The glass is full of water. The more you practice, the more natural it becomes to think in English. Situation visualization. During daily activities, create a silent narration of what you're doing in English. For example, while in the office, think, "Today I am busy. I have many tasks to complete. I have a meeting with a client soon. I must prepare for that." Start with simple descriptions and gradually build complexity as it becomes more natural. Question-answer practice. Challenge yourself by asking simple questions in English and answering them immediately. For example, what would I do if I won the lottery? What's my favorite childhood memory? Where would I like to travel next year? Answer directly in English without planning or translating. This builds the neural pathways for spontaneous English expression. Daily English Thinking Plan. Incorporate a short Thinking in English session into your daily routine. For example, morning, 5 minutes think about your day in simple English sentences as soon as you wake up. Afternoon, 5 minutes during a break. Describe what you're doing in English. Evening, 10 minutes reflect on your day in English, either silently or aloud. Over time, forming thoughts in English will become as natural as breathing. The journey to English fluency isn't about perfection, it's about progress. Every day you practice, neural pathways strengthen in your brain, making English more natural and accessible. Let's recap the 6 steps to natural English fluency. Step 1. Change your thoughts from I can't to I can and embrace progress over perfection. Step 2. Create an English-rich environment in your digital and physical spaces. Step 3. Learn language through useful phrases and context instead of isolated rules. Step 4. Turn everyday routines into opportunities for English practice. Step 5. Focus on clear communication by practicing aloud, using recovery phrases, and trusting your voice. Step 6. Train your mind to think in English without translating from your native language. Remember, yesterday's struggles become today's abilities, today's challenges become tomorrow's strengths, and your accent adds uniqueness to your English. Every mistake brings you closer to fluency. Your English doesn't need to be perfect, it needs to be practiced. The confident English speaker you want to become exists on the other side of consistent, natural practice. I believe in you. The only question is, will you give yourself permission to learn naturally, to make mistakes, and to speak before you feel ready? Start today. Not tomorrow. Not when you feel more prepared today. Speak your first English sentence aloud as soon as this video ends, and join our community in the comments by sharing one sentence about your day or your language goals. Your English journey isn't just about learning a language. It's about expressing your unique thoughts, sharing your valuable perspective, and connecting with people across cultures and continents. And that journey begins now. If you found this approach helpful, please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell to continue your natural English journey with me. Next week, I'll share the exact daily routine that helped my students achieve fluency in record time. Until then, remember, you don't study English, you live it.